Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering and persecuted church around the world. Today we're coming to you from the offices of His Excellency Archbishop John Issam Darwish, the Greek Melkite Archbishop of Zahleh and the Bekaa Valley. Zahleh is a town of about 250,000 located in the Bekaa Valley, an area of extraordinary historic importance for the Christians in Lebanon. Today, however, these Christians are under threat. To tell us more, it's my great privilege to welcome His Excellency John Issam Darwish. Your Excellency, thank you for being with us here today in our program.
Thank you very much and welcome to Zahle, to Lebanon.
Your Excellency, to understand better, can you tell us, the Christians have had a historic presence here in Zahleh and the Bekaa Valley. Can you tell us a little bit about this historic presence?
In our daily dialect, we say that Zahle is the capital of Catholics in the Middle East because 96% are Christian. And most of the Christians are Greek Melkite Catholic. That's why we say that the capital of the Catholics in the Middle East. Zahle is situated between Beirut and Damascus. From Beirut 60 kilometers and from Damascus 60 kilometers. The situation of Zahle is very important for the country.
This area, Your Excellency, has recently been the site of enormous population movements, especially after 2011 with the war in Syria. Can you tell us what it was like during these first days in 2011 when this flood of refugees from Syria came to Zahleh and the Bekaa Valley?
Yeah, I remember 2011, many Syrian families, they came from Homs and around Homs. They came at night here. They came without nothing, with their pyjama, about 30 families. They came to see us and to seek refuge in our archdiocese. I remember they told us that 20 young people are killed behind the church, and the rebels tell them, or you'll be killed here or go out of Syria. And they come to Zahle, to Lebanon. Our social work with the Syrian refugee start from this moment, and we welcome all the Syrian refugee and we give them all the necessary for their life here in Zahle.
It must have been a shock for you. Suddenly you had a flood of refugees and you had to start moving immediately to do things. What was it like for you personally, and what were some of the projects that you had to start immediately?
Straight away we start to look after residence for them, because the Christian, they don't like to live in the camp. That's why we find for them small apartments and we rent, and the archdiocese start to pay all the expensive for their living. And at this moment I appeal our friends in Europe to help us to continue helping those Syrian refugees.
Christians, as you mentioned, have gone into the apartments.
Yes.
And yet there are UN camps which are also available for them, where they can receive food, where they also receive money.
Yeah.
Why do the Christians prefer the apartments, and why do they not go and stay in the camps?
They would like to live in the community where they can worship. They can go to the church. They can freely talk about their faith. It's a big sacrifice, because in Zahle, when our department, they don't have any help from the UNCHR.
They are not registered.
They are not registered or they don't have any help because the help goes straight away to those in the camps. When I am with the people, I see a hope. I see the peace. I think the joy is mixed with their suffering. The suffering and joy, that's the best way I think we can rise up again.
It is the cross. It is the cross.
That's the cross, exactly. We have the suffering and joy in the cross, yes.
I find this quite amazing that you say this, because for somebody who has lost everything, they've been forced out of their homes, they have come into the hands of others and must ask and beg.
Yeah.
I wonder, where do they get this strength? Where do they get this hope?
I think they have a big faith. Sometimes I learn from them how I can have a big faith from like them. When I see the woman, the old man and the old woman came to seek help, and I see really how much their faith is strong.
Was there one story that you remember that touched you personally very strongly?
Yes, many stories really. I remember one woman came to see us and she said, we had a big house and the rebels exploded the house and stole everything from us and tell us to go outside of the village, go to Lebanon if you like, or you will be killed.
You started a project called St. John the Merciful
Yes.
Table.
Yeah.
What was the need and what was the purpose of the project?
You know, in 2015, we had the year of mercy. And we thought we can start a table, a restaurant, and we call it St. John the Merciful Table. And we start to give those Syrian refugees a daily meal, hot meal, every day, and they start to come to us. We start to give maybe 300, 350 meals a day. It was excellent because the Syrian refugee needs time form a community within them. And also it was good for us because we have a mission not only to feed them, but to give them hope for the future and to encourage them maybe later to go back to Syria, to their villages.
Now, not only Syrians are coming, but also Lebanese.
Lebanese and Syrian together.
Why now are Lebanese increasingly coming to receive food at a table which was initially only considered for the Syrian refugees?
Because the economic crisis in Lebanon, we have many Lebanese poor, many Lebanese in need. We had in Zahle before big number of middle class. Now there is no middle class. They have apartment, they have cars, phone, and everything, but they don't have money to continue their life. Many of them, they support before the table of St. John the Merciful. Now they come to ask help and to ask if you can give them a daily meal.
How does this touch you? I mean, it must be very painful for you to see friends.
You know, every week I see the misery of the people. Myself, sometimes I'm crying, and to see those people.
How do you keep your faith in this?
I have hope. I have a hope in my life. And I say to my colleagues who work voluntarily at St. John the Table, have faith. The future in the hands of God. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. That's why we continue to help. And we will continue. I said to them, if you don't have money, I am ready to beg, to knock the door and to seek some money to help the poor people. Every day we give a 1,200 package That's mean more than 4,000, 5,000 people every day.
The restaurant, the concept also at the beginning was that people should sit together, that
Yes.
Syrians and Lebanese
exactly.
should sit together. How do you now work for projects of promoting reconciliation? Because if I understand correctly, there was some resentment of the
Yes.
Lebanese towards the Syrians when they first came. So first of all, what was the resentment of the Lebanese towards the Syrians first? And then secondly, what projects of reconciliation are you doing?
In 2011, we have a big resistance from the Lebanese community to accept the Syrian refugee. We start to gather the children to gather the children in the summer camp, Syrian and Lebanese children. Then we start to gather mothers, Lebanese women and Lebanese Syrian women. And after that, the young people, they came to us, we gathered together, we gather in the church and discuss many problems towards the community. I think now, after 10 years of the war, they live together. There is no any more problem between the Syrian, I said the Christian Syrian and the Lebanese Christian.
Your Excellency, will the Syrians go back to Syria?
You know, we encourage them many times, but it's not easy. When everyone he lost everything, his house, and his church in the village, and his neighbors, how he can come back to his village? It's not easy. Few people, they go back. We help them to go back. But now I don't see much how we can encourage them to go back. Many of them, they hope to go outside of Lebanon, to immigrate to Europe, to Canada, to USA, to Australia. And they say to us, we'd like to help our children for a better future for them.
The reality, however, is that these possibilities of leaving Lebanon will not happen or not happen very quickly.
Yeah.
Which means that for you and the church, this situation is going to continue for some time.
Yes, I think yes. Because it's a big issue in the Middle East. We don't know the future of the Middle East. We don't know the future of Lebanon, of Syria. I know there is now a peace in Syria and in most of the Syria, but the people are not trust the future now. They hope to immigrate.
The problem also now starts with the Lebanese people.
Yeah.
There is economic crisis, political crisis, a recent explosion which destroyed the port of Beirut, causing
Yes.
a lot of also not only physical damage but psychological damage. Are young families coming to you now and saying,
Many
Sayedna, we want to leave?
Many young people, they ask to go study in Europe. They don't have money because now it's impossible to send money from Lebanon to outside. That's why they came to seek refuge in Europe, especially in Europe, because Europe is not far away from the mentality of the Lebanese people. They would like to go to Europe and to Canada, to USA, to Australia, and to see the future.
Your Excellency, we've mentioned earlier that the economic situation, the crisis, the Lebanese pound has fallen by 80%. What are some of the other elements that are finally pushing these young Christian families to say, it's enough, it's time to leave?
I think, first of all, the corruption of the government, the corruption of the political people who govern the Lebanon since 30 years. And now, if you like, the people would like to see a secular state instead of confessionalism state.
So people are identified not by their religion,
Yeah,
but as citizens, equal citizens of a country.
exactly.
The work that you're doing is an extraordinary example of faith because you are serving not only the Christians, you're serving everybody.
Everybody.
And
yes.
the work that you are doing is also as a sign of reconciliation. Can you tell us what is the reaction of the Muslims to the work that you are doing here in Zahle?
Yes, I spent nine years as a head of the Christian Muslim Episcopal Commission for Dialogue in Lebanon. And I have a good relation between the Shia and the Sunnah and the Druze also. We form a committee that we gather once a month and we discuss our issues. My commitment social work and the everything to help the Christian and Muslim together. Actually, we don't have a problem between Christian and Muslim. The problem is in the head of the politicians. That's only. But the Christian and the Muslim, they live together in Lebanon, especially in the Bekaa Valley. Christian and Muslim, they work together, they live together, and during our feast, they came to us, to Archdiocese, to wish us a Merry Christmas, and during the Easter also. And on their feast, I go myself with the other bishops also to greet the Muslim on their feasts. That's why we know each other and we live together in peace.
This is the living together of Lebanon.
Yes, exactly. That's the mission of Lebanon.
And a question, by the example, do you find that there are Muslims who are interested more and more in the Christian faith and
Yes,
who come to the Christian faith?
yes, many of them.
Do you have an example?
Yes, but I cannot say the name because a secret.
Because of the persecution that they might encounter.
Exactly. 2 weeks ago, I baptized one young people from Syria, Syrian Muslim. But we accept them as brothers and sisters. But we don't we don't talk about Islam anymore. We never talk about Islam. We respect Muslim. We respect their faith. But if anyone to come to us and to say, I would like to learn about your faith, he is more than welcome.
What will happen if the Christians leave Lebanon?
I ask the same question to a friend who is Sheikh, Shia Sheikh. And he tells me, if you Christian leave Lebanon, we Muslim, we live in the darkness. That's why the Muslim also need the presence of the Christian in Lebanon and in the Middle East also. If you live as Christian Lebanon, what a mission we can give to the world. St. John Paul II said once, the Lebanon is a mission, it's not a country.
With this in mind, what would be the impact on the region if Christians left Lebanon? They've left Syria, they've left Iraq. Now they're considering leaving Lebanon. What would this mean for the region?
I think the region will be a chaos between themselves, between Shia and Sunnah. The war.
It will be violence.
Exactly. That's why your responsibility, the European responsibility especially, is to let the Christian live in the Middle East, to preserve the presence of the Christian in Lebanon. It's my appeal to all the international community. Help the Christian to stay in Lebanon and the Middle East. Not only for the sake of Christian, it's for the sake of all humanity, of all Christian and Muslim together.
how do you counsel a young couple that comes to you and says, Your Excellency, we want to leave?
I cannot say no, but I cannot say yes. I say to them, try to resist, but it's up to you, because it's your life, it's not my life. But I say that with sadness. I am sad when my people leave Lebanon.
I think the reflections come when the children are there.
Yes, exactly. When one couple say to me, would like to see a better future for our children, what can I say?
Your Excellency, what can we do to help?
First of all, your presence here, it's a start to help. When the people, my people, saw you in the street with me, they have a hope, because they said somebody from Europe, they feel our misery and they are with us. And second, I would like to ask the European community and the international community now to help the Christian to keep their faith alive, first of all, and to help them economically. When I was a young man, Lebanon was known as a Switzerland of the Middle East. I think we hope that we'll come back again. Lebanon will be again a star in the Middle East.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for having been with us today in our program.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank you and to thank ACN, Church in Need, for helping us during those years since the beginning of the war. We have a great partnership with the Church in Need around the world. And the beautiful works that we do, the partnership is not only between you and us, but between you and the needy people and the poor people. They know now they have friends, brothers and sisters in Europe who look after them. That's why they have a hope. The hope when we love each other, when we have a partnership together. We are one community, international community, but we are one in Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, where you've heard the situation of the Christians here, both the Syrians and the Lebanese. And if you feel called to pray or somehow some kind of concrete action, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.